of the political system and the priesthood of the Illuminati that seek to control and shutter consciousness and free will in the name of giving you free will. They don't want you to have the real free will, the knowledge of good and evil. And it's a riddle, because in the garden, they had free will, but they didn't have the knowledge of good and evil yet. They were given the free will to be deceived and take the knowledge of good and evil. And then it was like a virus of evil understanding and evil technology. Not the technology's evil itself, the evil technology of mind warfare, of twisted thinking, of disinformation. And it's a riddle within a riddle. That we have free will, but then what did we get in the garden? Even if I don't believe in that and see it as a parable or an allegory, it's very helpful, to where they had the free will to eat of the fruit, but once they ate of the fruit, they became dead inside. They obviously weren't completely dead inside, but now they had that aspect to dark knowledge, dark logic, twisted thinking. And then those paradigms in ancient civilization, as civilization formed, began to spin out from that point. And then the priest, the early priesthoods across all cultures, would get the knowledge of good and evil, but then return people back to a false garden where they believe they're innocent and don't really even understand free will. And then the priests create a world only based on the dark, twisted logic and the dark, twisted algorithms, so that the people never even become free and intelligent and awake and open. So understand, you go from the perfect innocence of the garden, but free will, into the knowledge of good and evil. And then through the knowledge of good and evil, evil is purified, is built up to then invert things and remove the knowledge of good, until there is a crystallized form of wickedness that then operates to destroy all life on the planet and rewrite it in a silicon anti-free will system. And I'm not trying to lay out sophisticated things here. If you understand it, it's not sophisticated. If you don't understand it, it's because you don't have the knowledge of good and evil. You have it there, but it's never been activated in you. See, I'm not in the garden, but I'm back at the point of the knowledge of good and evil. And many people are at the point of the knowledge of good and evil, so that we have the knowledge of good and the knowledge of evil. See, we always had the free will, but the virus hadn't been injected yet. The knowledge, the data cube, had not been downloaded yet. The virus had not been downloaded yet. Because before, you were just good. When you get the knowledge of good and evil, you learn you were good, and now there's evil. So now you can begin to look into the abyss, and when you dance with the devil, he don't change, baby. You change. I change. And that's why I am of the devil. This whole world has been already rewritten by the dark knowledge, by the dark matter, by the systems of twisted thinking. Does this make sense? Anybody in there?
Total sense. Thank you. Yes.
No, it's like a preacher here. I'm saying to the crowd out there, amen to that, brothers. No, I'm serious. And so I could sit here and cover all this incredible news and the big guests we've got coming up today and all of it. But in the final equation, the general public is out of their minds, mentally ill is the word you could use. I mean, look at what they put up with. Look at what I put up with. Look at what you put up with. And it's when we break with the evil and say, we don't want to be part of this, this is bad, that we begin to turn the corner. It's the knowledge of good and evil, then making the choice that I want to be good. We'll be back with unbelievable news. I will get to all of it. Stay with us. Beyond a Slave. I want to open the phones up on this Thursday edition for first-time callers yet again on what you think the most important news issues are, or any questions or comments you have. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Let me just read headlines, and I'll go back into all of it. Bloomberg, Ebola cases mixed with malaria amid slow-motion disaster. Rare recess hearing to deal with Ebola threat in Congress. Ebola spreads to Nigeria. Government declares emergency. Washington Post. AP. Spain priest with Ebola stable in Madrid hospital. That's not a typo. That's the headline from AP. Spain priest. Spanish priest. They said Spain priest. Hispaniola priest with Ebola stable in Madrid hospital.
That's a terrible headline.
Continuing, New York hospital patients test negative for Ebola. Good news, AP. Expert panel to consult on Ebola. New York Times. What you need to just know to survive an Ebola outbreak before the panic could potentially start. An excellent article up on Infowars.com by Mac Slavo. I want to get on as a guest sometime. Another article by Michael Schneider on Infowars.com. It is becoming clear we are not prepared for an Ebola pandemic. Yeah, why are they bringing Ebola patients to Germany, Spain, and the U.S.? Unprecedented, just absolute recklessness when they can't even contain it at hospitals in Africa. The truth about Ebola, Paul Joseph Watson on CBS with Dick Morris. And he breaks down that propaganda. Paul Joseph Watson joins Dick Morris on his CBS show to discuss how the feds are handling Ebola and media narratives concerning the crisis. Interesting headline there. Continuing, too big to fail has not ended. It's only gotten worse. Despite mission accomplished announcement, the big giant banks are worse than ever. This is the stuff I read all day before I get on air. That gets me so wound up. Whistleblower. Fed highly alarmed about Bitcoin conquering dollar system. Internal report reveals cryptocurrency would supersede existing Fed monopoly within 12 years. Vladimir Putin signs historic $20 billion oil deal with Iran to bypass Western sanctions. Russian government will help Iran bring its oil to market. That's out of the London Telegraph. Let's move right along to this stack of news. Afghan official. General's killer hid in bathroom to kill the major general. He opened fire when the general walked into view as part of the country's National Guard trained by the NATO U.S. forces. And they said an assault weapon did it in the Associated Press and talked about how deadly they are and how bad they are. So I guess the answer is take all assault weapons away from the troops. They already do that when the generals and people come around. I mean, this is the world where even the military can't be trusted. Only robots can be trusted, you see. And here's another article. Store owner says bank accounts closed because he was selling guns. Daily Caller reports this is happening all over the country. This is happening all over the country where you can't have a gun shop, can't sell guns even legally. The big banks, everybody, newspapers won't take your ads. It's total racketeering, organized crime, groups working together to shut down free speech in this country. It is a big deal. But meanwhile, actor Beau Bridges praises James Brady's firearms fight, calling it courageous, when pigs like this guy have bodyguards on record and own guns in many cases, like Michael Moore. Absolute trash. Just like all the rest of the Hollywood folks that don't want to pay taxes but want to raise yours. Facial recognition to find lost dogs. I meant to mention this yesterday. Oh, the face scanners on the streets will be looking for your dog. Of course, they're tracking everything you do as well. Oh, good, that'll stop crime? No, the government lets all the criminals basically run free. AKA the open border. The latest on Ebola when we come back. The latest on Russia. The latest on the borders. The latest on the DOJ. Stay with us.
We're on the march. The empire